Thank you for joining in. Um, I'm happy to say that despite difficult times, we are here to kind of get inspired, get more hope, get some sense of wisdom, practical application of what we should do during the second phase of COVID that has left us in a very bewildered state. Um, so while we could kind of understand and grapple with the first wave, this is becoming far more enigmatic. It's becoming very knee-jerk. Like somebody mentioned, now in terms of different varieties of lockdowns in every state, and of course the whole country is grappling with the healthcare infrastructure breaking down, people dying for want of oxygen, hospital beds. This is also a time when many people are booking profits in terms profiteering from selling remdesivir at astronomical prices. I've heard of people selling a gas cylinder for 68,000 rupees, oxygen cylinder. So it's very bewildering to see what's happening in a developed economy like ours after 70 years of freedom and great progress that we have made. We are caught, literally in some ways. Don't want to use the word about our pants being down at this stage, but we are literally scrambling for solutions. People are dying all around us. Many of my close friends, my wife's close friends, we are shocked to see um, what's really happening. People, begging for a bed. Today also we got information about somebody wanting a bed in Delhi. So we are in troubled times, and who better than Dr. Prashantham to give us some hope in this area of darkness and adversity that you are facing. So, but before I pass on to Dr. Prashantham, I'd like Ganesh to share a few words about this second series of our Hope Optimum series, which Dr. BJP so graciously kind of agreed to do it as a monthly series from now on. So over to you, Ganesh.
No, I don't want to say much. I'm sure everyone waiting to listen to Doctor. The only thing I want to say with candor is I never thought we would have to do a second series. I thought the hope and optimism in the first series would carry us through. I'm pained that we are needing a second series, but I'm happy that we have Doctor to see us through the second series. Doctor, waiting to listen to you. You're muted, Doctor.
Sorry. Thank you very much, Ganesh, for your continuing concern and taking it in CFI as a community, as a family, to think about what is happening and what might be possible to do, and giving me an opportunity to share a few of my thoughts and feelings, ideas in this short period that we have. Sorry, I just put off the phone. I thought it was off, but it was on. And so, like vaccinations, they said that we need two, no? So maybe Ganesh, that's why we needed another one, a vaccination for optimism.
Right.
Huh? So we are in line with the strategy that's going on globally. You see, you are so learned and so experienced, and as Suresh brought out, how we are aware of COVID reality. We are either affected in terms of either we are afflicted or affected by what's happening in and around, in our family, friends, and so on. So I want to begin by sharing a few thoughts about what I'm picking up and what self-regulatory observances we can do using the amazing plasticity of the brain as an aid for us, without in any way discounting the complexity of the situation. It's truly very, very complex, and nobody has any ready-made solutions, but there are definite directions for indicators for which way we may go. But to tap your wisdom also in this, what I want to do is on 2-3 occasions during this 1 hour, we will have a breakout sharing in triads so that your thoughts, your feelings, your ideas are also registered and others picked up. And along with it, I will share a few thoughts that are going through my mind. So it will be truly, fully participative. And we will keep some time for questions as well as finish on time. So having said this, let me start by sharing this is my topic, self-regulation and plasticity of the brain, 6 tips for being calm in the midst of storm. Stability in the midst of storm we heard last year, and I'm thinking about how to remain calm in this kind of way. So you can see down there, my structure is 20 minutes presentation, 10 minutes breakout groups 2 times, and a 20-minute question and answer session. This is how it is being planned. So just to begin with, I want to start by sharing with you what somebody shared with me. I suppose all of us got vaccinated or about to be. William Shakespeare came to get vaccinated, I believe. The nurse said, "Which arm?" Shakespeare says, "As you like it." Almost every answer he gives is the name of one of his dramas. Nurse says, "Was that painful?" Shakespeare says, "Much ado about nothing." Nurse, "You will have to have a second jab." Shakespeare says, "Measure for measure." Nurse says, "So what do you think of the general awareness with regard to COVID?" Shakespeare, "Comedy of errors." Nurse, "I heard your wife Anne decided to get vaccinated in the company of her friends." Shakespeare says, "The Merry Wives of Windsor." Nurse says, "Did you try convincing her?" He says, "Love's neighbor lost." "Wouldn't she listen to you?" Shakespeare, A Midsummer Night's Dream. Shakespeare, nurse says, "So what happened at the other vaccination center?" Shakespeare, "The Tempest." Nurse, but it worked out?" Shakespeare, "The Taming of the Shrew." Nurse, "So is it okay then?" Shakespeare says, "All is well that ends well." And then Shakespeare, "Will I have any adverse effect?" The nurse says, "Wait until the 12th night." So this is how Shakespeare is supposed to have interacted. I think you may connect all this. I thought it's unbelievable how hilarious this conversation was between the nurse and Shakespeare. But now, if you look a little further, what we are finding is, things of this nature. Okay. Now, I will even recall for you the first time when we had a discussion. I shared the following, perhaps not as structured, but to make it very simple. I said the best way to handle would be, first of all, relate to the people near us, relax, review what is happening, routinize your life. You will rebound through these, and then reach out to others who are in need. That will give us meaning. This is what we thought about. But today, I want to, in the midst of what we find, for example, if I may just start here, health infrastructure stretched to limit, says AIMS director. You would have heard him, very knowledgeable man. Importance of bringing blood sugar down quickly, because blood sugar levels are somehow connected with immunity, and immunity is what we need today. Dr. Fauci, the American top doctor in this subject, says India should go into a warlike mode to counter the COVID second wave. Another epidemiologist says COVID situation in India will get worse before getting better. And Chennai is promoting, one of the NGOs is promoting this whole idea of mask podu and put it right. It's hilarious. I will send you all these for your reference. And because it is now recognized through Lancet and other related studies that airborne is the primary mode of infection, as some are recommending even masks at home, though not all the time, because even in apartments where people have not entered each other's apartment, the other apartment dwellers got COVID because it traveled through the air. And in these situations, our brain really gets very worked up and stressed out. The sympathetic nervous system is so thoroughly activated, and it is not meant to be activated continuously like this for 1 year. Therefore, the stress increases. It is important to de-stress our body, our brain, and through the brain body and vice versa. And this particular doctor emphasizes on that. Finally, grit is identified as the key ingredient psychologically to face difficult circumstances through extensive empirical studies. This is based on the other studies about mindset, closed mindset and open mindset. Based on that, this is developed. So today, I'm planning to, through different ways, convey that the tips for being calm in this storm, where if things don't go well in the next few weeks, our mortality rate by August 1st may reach 1 million with inadequate data. It may become more, but it need not be so. Therefore, responsibility is the key. Personal responsibility and social responsibility based on science. The second tip is avoid neglect of any kind with impunity. Put your oxygen mask first and help others, like the airlines say, would be the way forward. And most important is to enhance our immunity through lifestyle changes. So these are essentially behaviors. Sleep, in my mind, scientifically rates high in improving our immunity. If we are sleepless for too long, even other things we do won't work that well. Sleep has a big impact on our cognition, our functioning, our relationships, and our immunity. Even diet is very critical, and even it has been found in one study that even the order in which we eat may influence our sugar levels, which in turn will influence our immunity. The suggestion there is to have carbohydrates last, start with proteins and other things. And there was a difference of 50% decrease in sugar levels of those who ate the carbohydrate last in their diet, meaning in the order sequence. And in all this, vagus nerve stimulation and the parasympathetic nervous system is extremely critical. And I will say a few words about this vagus nerve. Then creativity and visualization will have a very good impact on our mood, our expectation, our calmness, and our optimism in the midst of reality. And finding meaning through reaching out to the vulnerable has always been found to be something that adds meaning. Now, before I go further, I want to request Ramesh to help us to have the first breakout group with the following question. We will be in triads, and the first question is, how are you understanding the current second wave? What are you feeling? What are you hearing? We will each have about 2.5 minutes to talk, so that in these triads, 3 people will get enough time. And by about the 8th minute or the 9th minute, we shall come back to the main group and continue a little more. Ramesh, is that all right with you?
Fine, doctor, I am ready.
Perfect, sir. So the first question is, how are you understanding the current second wave? And we will all get a chance to share our thoughts in these triads. After about 8 to 9 minutes, bring us back, please.
Doctor, in the breakout, only one question we answer?
Yes, sir. Each one will share your understanding with each other.
Which only the first question?
Only the first question, sir. You're right.
All right.
Okay. How are you understanding the current wave?
So, doctor, I am ready. So it is 10 minutes, right?
Go ahead.
10 minutes.
About 8 minutes, you bring us back.
Sure.
Thank you.
Yeah.
How do you get into the groups now?
You will get a link now. So kindly click it. It will take you to that room. So, Oscar, you didn't get the link?
No, I didn't get the link.
Oh, okay. Fine. Let me check.
where does it come on the screen or does it come on the email?
No, it will come in the screen actually.
Okay. Okay. I'm using my phone, so hope that works.
Yeah. Sir, ASN, it says you are yet to join. Link is sent to you. Similarly, Krish. Sir, you are already assigned to a room. It says you are yet to join. Yeah. Venkatesh, similarly, you are yet to join. Hello, hi Sanjay.
Hi, how are you?
Yeah, fine Sanjay. I think you are joining now, right? So I'll put you in a room, breakout room. So kindly join them. Yeah.
Okay.
You would have got a link now. Click it. It will take you to that room. Krish. Hello, Krish. You are yet to join. Krish. Hi, Vas. Good evening.
Hi, Ramesh.
Hi. So people are there in the breakout room. So now
Okay.
they will be coming back now. So kindly wait for a minute. They will
Okay.
all join back. They are all in breakout room.
Okay, thank you. How many people are there?
We have 84.
84.
84. Yeah.
Somehow I got it. I thought it was 6 o'clock. I missed it. So anyway.
Yeah, doctor.
Yes, sir. I'm here and
Sure. People are coming back, doctor. Yeah.
okay, sir. Okay, sir. So where is this one? What is that then? So they are back, Ramesh. Are they back?
Yes, doctor. All are
Everybody.
back.
Everybody.
Yes.
So I want to one more time welcome those who have joined. It is such a pleasure and privilege to be invited by Ganesh into CFI family for us to take a look at this very important point. And just for the purpose of, without taking much time, in 1 minute, last year, I emphasized the points of how important it is to relate, relax, review, routinize, rebound, and reach out. And we had a lot of discussion at that time. Today, I'm emphasizing after reviewing what is being said India and around the world, that the way forward to be calm in this situation is to take responsibility personally and socially, because this issue calls for both. Avoid neglect so that we can put our own oxygen, whatever it means, and help others. And since this virus is going to stay with us for a long time and go through further mutations, enhancing our immunity is the best way through sleep, diet, physical movement, and medicine wherever needed, so that it is holistic. And recognize and stimulate the vagus nerve, which will lead to helping us to be calm. And I'll explain quickly what I understand by that. Visualization of change, of functioning differently, it will have a powerful effect on us. It will reduce rumination. Then meaning through reaching out to other vulnerable groups. Now we had one round of breakout group, and I want to just mention a couple of other things. During this last year, dozens and dozens of people, as would have approached you or you reached out to them, I too had the opportunity, and I've been growing in my understanding. So wherever people were panicking, it was important to acknowledge their panic, but also put them at rest through scientific information. Some people were experiencing delirium and thinking there was a mental breakdown. This happened from Delhi, from a hospital. A passenger who was brought there suddenly went into delirium. And the family thought there was a mental breakdown and rang up to me through some known sources. And I told them, you know, in this situation, your doctor is the best person, but if you were to tell me, how long has this been going on? It only happened now in the last 2 days. What is the temperature now? 106. Has this ever happened before? No. Then I said, please check with your doctor whether it is delirium. If this is the case, it is going to subside very fast. But your doctor has to confirm whether it is that or not. And it turned out to be that, and calmness returned to that individual and family. Where there is confusion and doubt, also science-based information was useful. In fact, last week, one person, I went to the bank and the bank manager suddenly said, sir, I'm wondering whether I'm having COVID, whether my heart also is involved and I'm feeling some pain in the heart. What do I do? I said, you see, I'm not a medical doctor to tell you what exactly you are going through, but just relax and sit down and let us see whether we can arrange telemedicine right now, because hospitals are full, doctors are not easy to get through. He came from Uttar Pradesh and doesn't know any other doctor. So when I requested one very senior doctor, he said, can he call me later? I said, no, can he talk to you now? Otherwise, I'll seek the help of somebody else. This guy is in great state of tension. He said, okay, I will speak to him, and spoke to him. It wasn't heart attack. It wasn't severe level of COVID or anything for him to need hospital. Through that and through exchanging telephone numbers, the whole situation became calm. But then, as you have come across, I came across a few months ago a widow of a doctor who, while serving Bangladeshi patients in Bahrain, contracted COVID. Both became sick and admitted. The doctor became worse. The wife recovered and she never saw him. He died. They couldn't even bury him properly and had to return home, having not even fulfilled all the rituals that have to be done. Completely broken-hearted. She said to herself, I will be all right. My family is here, and went to the bank to change the name on the bank account. And the headquarters from Bombay called and said, called for in the name of the husband. They didn't know that he died in COVID situation, illness. When she heard that on the phone, she broke down completely. The whole bank people, officers, customers surrounded her. She felt embarrassed, came home, got my number from somebody, called and said, is this what is going to happen to me? Those who have lost their loved ones. She was evidently going through traumatic grief and needed a lot of listening. And I didn't write all this. Now, after 9 months, she is able to go into public without breaking down when people ask about her husband. She called me and said, Anna, you know, I just read about an atheist who went for ice fishing. And there was a blizzard He couldn't see anything. He prayed and said, it seems, God, if there is anyone, please come and help me. I personally don't believe in God, he said, being an atheist, honest. God didn't come, but one Eskimo came and helped him out. He came home and his friend came and said, how are you? He said, I was in a blizzard. I prayed, God didn't come, but an Eskimo came and helped me. Now that she's stabilized, she's telling me, from now on, I want to tell you that you are my Eskimo. And I said, what helped you? And these are the things she listed out 2 days ago. You showed genuine interest, listened without interrupting or advising prematurely. You empathized, you understood what I was feeling. And you normalized my experience as common in an abnormal situation. That breaking down in the bank at that stage of her grief was normal, I told her. And you also were asking, how are you sleeping? How are you eating? I did not know that sleep was that important. I was not sleeping for a long time. So I took help of even some medicine and slept, and now I'm not needing it. You elicited solutions and options from me in this complicated situation with children spread all over the world. I can see my way through now. Through it all, I felt validated that I'm a worthwhile person no matter what I'm going through, and unique with my own inner strength to face. I progressed step by step and I was appreciated. But initial frequent contact was very, very helpful to supplement whatever I was getting from my family. And then able to begin comforting others as a wounded healer. She has started doing that. And both the helper and the helpee need to be comfortable with crying and tears now and then. But I got the longer term perspective that this is not a permanent situation of acute grief. I'll come out of it. The clouds will clear, the sun is there, but it is not at all easy. It is very difficult. There are many angles, but the relational and emotional supportive angle, you helped me. You are my Eskimo. I got hope without unrealistic promises because certain things are never going to be. Now, within 4 weeks, the first anniversary of her husband's death is coming. She wants to go to Bahrain with the children, but none of them are sure of visas. She says, earlier I would have thought that is the worst thing that would have happened, but now I know if I can't go next month, I'll go 3 months later. I can deal with it. So a few people are going to be in that situation. Now, I just want to say one more thing. We had many precedents of managing disasters in our own country in the past. The partition of India, the Bhopal gas tragedy, and before that, the Chinese war in 1962, where there was an emergency, Bhuj earthquake, 9/11, COVID-1. Now we are at COVID-2, and today Supreme Court was alerting the center and the states, are you ready for COVID-3? What is the plan for oxygen? Now, having mentioned what we can individually do, and also why we can do it, is another important point I want to just quickly mention. The human brain, this is what is called plasticity of the brain, is composed of approximately 86 billion neurons. And the creation of new cells constantly happens, but Earlier, they used to think that it stops after birth. Today, it is understood that this continues throughout life through remarkable capacity to reorganize. And this is called neuroplasticity. And neuroplasticity is of structural kind and functional kind, where if I lose hearing in one ear, the brain can somehow make it up. Similarly in vision. And that is called functional balance. But the structural is how I behave, my structures in the brain will also change. And because of that, habits can be formed and stabilized. And because of this, depression, obsessions, compulsion, psychosocial stress, Alzheimer's disease, Parkinson's, so many are connected with this plasticity, and their intensity can be even reduced. Brain plasticity plays a fundamental role in deterioration or alleviation. And if psychoactive substances are used, of course, the brain is going to change. But through certain behaviors that I have outlined in the 6 points, rewiring can happen in the brain, and that is the most exciting part of this brain plasticity. And I will, give you references also when I send you. You can take a look at it, and this shows how relaxation and meditation can modify the brain, as was studied with Dalai Lama and others. And some people get very angry, and so this is what I came to know about anger management. It says, angry with someone, think before you talk. If the person is junior to you, count up to 10 and then talk. If the person is equal to you, count up to 30 and talk. If the person is your senior, then count 50 and talk. If the person is your wife, keep counting, don't talk. If the person is your husband, keep talking, don't count. As you can see, this is just mentioned in a very jocular way. But physiologically, we need to deal with sleep, diet, exercise, deep breathing, and these can be very helpful to be calm. It is all pointing towards mindfulness. Now, having said this, I just want to make one more comment about the partition of India. At partition of India, officially 2 to 2.5 lakhs of people died, but in reality, more than 500,000 died. And from the archives of operations in Delhi, you will find a very interesting report about the medical collapse of health system at that time. And this is what happened. It is reported, it is recorded that the administrators, perhaps Nehru, Mountbatten, mine put together, the director of railways, airways, and health were called. They were giving excuses why oxygen and other things did not reach the locations. So orders were given to ground 100 aircraft, civilian and military, by that evening. The director of health was asked to fill the aircraft with the necessary medication. Expedited clearance. Train also filled with these are to reach the destination within a few hours, or however many hours it takes. There, all the provincial governments were advised to take immediate possession and take it to the location and report back whether it has happened. And whoever did not cooperate were taken to task. In what appears to be a callous neglect of human life, there seems to be need for some action like that at the macro level, systemic level. So calmness cannot come in an emergency like this purely through individual actions, but also by influencing systemic actions in a crisis situation that will not brew delay or inefficiency. Now, this is a notice from the Psychiatric Association. It says, during the quarantine time, it is considered normal to talk to your walls, plants, and pots. Kindly contact us only if they reply. And so, what are the possibilities of synergistic action at the level of individuals, communities, governments, international resources, human rights and judicial perspectives, because health is human right, and we are not having enough to go around. It's a terrible crisis. Gunnar Myrdal, a famous Nobel Prize winning economist, had said that anytime big change has to happen, there are changes needed at attitudinal level, which is individual, institutional, which is community, technological, administrative, and political will is also needed. And all feedback and grievances have to be treated as feed forward and accepted non-defensively. Otherwise, if, like Supreme Court said, you cannot make a grievance as a anti-national activity. People have human rights. And I have already shown you these. So I will just stop here and open for a few questions. Ramesh, is that all right?
Yes, doctor. Yeah, fine, perfect.
Okay.
Absolutely, doctor.
Huh? Sure. I'm sure all that I said are very well known to you, but I hope whatever I said touches your card also in your heart. So how do we go, sir, Ramesh?
Can I ask a question?
Mr. Ratan Shah is raising his hand.
So, doctor, everything is, the newspapers, the media, the WhatsApp groups, everything is very, very negative. So you don't find anybody talking positive.
Yes, sir.
So how do you deal with it? Because this creates more of a depression than anything else.
Surely, sir. Mr. Shah, what I feel is there are two aspects to it. One is repeated negativity can be very depressing. You are so right about it. So either there has to be some self-restraint on the part of who are repeatedly saying very negative things, or the individuals will also can switch off and don't listen to these things often and only see once in a while. That is one aspect. The second aspect, what I feel is that the extent to which what is being negatively said, even if 10% is true, a firm action needs to be taken and seen to be taken and publicized equally, so that there is a balance and positivity is validated. And our country is such a great country. It has so much potentials. We have already done so many good things, but there is a lot more needed to be done very quickly, because unlike the first COVID, the second wave has gone up like a rocket exponentially. and therefore calls for extraordinary measures. And I believe we have all the wherewithal to go at it.
Thank
And
you.
that should be seen to be happening and publicized.
Thanks.
I hope.
Sanjay Sinha, please.
Hello,
Sir.
Dr. Prashantham, this is Sanjay Sinha.
Yes, sir.
Hope you are well and staying safe, and so are the other people on this call. I had a very difficult situation today when one of my friends called up asking that hospital is asking that they remove oxygen from his 77-year-old dad just because they need it for a 13-year-old child. In this situation, how does he was asking for my suggestion? I couldn't give any. I was feeling so helpless. But how does one deal with this situation when your father is on a deathbed on oxygen and doctors say the choice is to save him who is 77 versus a person who is like 14, 15-year-old child? He finally gave up the oxygen and his father passed away in a couple of hours. But how does one deal with this such choices in life to make?
It is simply heartbreaking, sir. You know, it is either way, it is wrong, I think. And the real solution is, you know, all the oxygen that is available now in our ports and airports has to be mobilized and sent so that everybody who needs can get it. That is the greater ethical imperative. But this is a moral dilemma, you know, whichever way you go, it is wrong. It is wrong for that elderly person to lose his life, and the younger person also needs to get oxygen. But to give one for the other, you know, sometimes it may be the only choice left for people who are working at it, but it is a very unfortunate. It shouldn't be necessary. And this is where emergency action to move these required things, that is oxygen, drugs, and vaccines. These are three absolute essential things that need to be moved around.
Yeah, Oscar and then Pradeep Bhai, please.
Suresh, I want to make a
You're
comment.
muted. You're muted. Oscar, you're muted.
Yeah. Can you hear me now? Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, Mr.
Okay. Dr. Prashantham,
Yes, sir.
I have a strange question. The second wave has left me with a feeling of, I can't call it depression. I can't call it excitement. It's left me with this kind of in-between feeling of what do I do next? Is there something that you would advise or suggest to help us get out of this kind of in-between feeling?
Yes. Sir, even I am going through this in-between feeling, dealing with so many people. So I can readily appreciate the dilemma that so many caring people must be going through. Now, there is a word that psychologists are using, which is different from depression or burnout. It is called languishing in between. And this is a very, very debilitating and, very generates low energy as well as less enthusiasm, less hope and all that. Yet you are moving around, hoping against hope that something will happen. So this seems to happen through another phenomena called compassion fatigue that comes. It is a step before depression, it's a step before burnout. But it is a very, very uncomfortable, annoying, and helpless kind of a situation that people are in. So I can, there is an article that has just come out about recognizing this languishing sense within us and overcoming it through, kind of lessening our own sense of personal judgment that I have to be on the top of energy all the time, but give yourself a little space, a little time, and yet do what you can during that time and have step-by-step review of what there are in this languishing state. Instead of 10 things, you will be able to do 4 for sure. Do those 4, acknowledge them as achievement, and consider this temporary state as normal for now. But I will circulate to you this article that gives several other steps that we can take. It will go over a period of time, but it is a very, very common phenomena that is happening right now in this kind of a continuous situation, sir. Our sympathetic nervous system is overloaded. It is meant only to take small amounts of stress at a time. But we have been kept under continuous stress for so long now. And therefore, a sense of, a combination of fight, flight, freeze kind of thing is happening. This is somewhere in between these. So that is where this vagus nerve, and this vagus nerve seems to be the 10th cranial nerve that connects to the rest of the body with ability to send message and receive message. It ends in the gut. It goes into the lungs, into the heart and all this, but it is great ability is to activate the parasympathetic nervous system in the brain, in the central nervous system, where it will bring about calmness, it will bring about peace, it will bring about tranquility, it will bring about alertness. And this happens through different simple activities. For example, even a small thing like chewing a small sweet creates saliva, and saliva somehow activates vagus nerve. As you will see, when we are nervous, our mouth dries. So if you take some liquid, let it be there in the mouth, even gargling activates vagus nerve. Deep breathing activates vagus nerve. Now, normally, most of us do about 12 breaths in a minute. If you reduce it to 5 or 6, that is, breathe in slowly, hold, but exhale it much slowly. Somebody gave a formula, there are many. One is breathe in 5 counts, keep it 2 counts, exhale 8 counts. That will activate the vagus nerve. A physical activity of walking around or some exercise will activate vagus nerve. And it is so individually unique that some people by singing can activate vagus. You are a good singer. So you have more options than some of us. And so there is also, I just will mention one small thing here.
Doctor, if I may kindly interrupt. See, there are 6 more people waiting for questions, Doctor. So can we go ahead this way? And
Sure. Mr.
Yeah.
May I go to the other question? I will send you the article on languishing.
Yeah, Pradeep bhai, uske baad Manoj or Ambi.
Okay.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Doctor, I am looking at the third question that you had originally scheduled. We should look at how can I influence the system,
Yes.
etc. Now, we can blame media, but then media is running after TRP. What I am not able to understand are responsible people like our judges. Look at the way in the Madras High Court they criticized Election Commission. I think it was absolutely wrong, and though maybe Supreme Court partly curled up. Same with our politicians. They are just making left, right, and fingering point at each other instead of really doing the right thing.
Yes.
Good bureaucrats who are making things happen, but the politicians are only fighting. And third constitution, which is in my mind very, very, very bad, is people who want to make money out of the scarcity by doing black marketing, by hoarding, by making the counterfeiting products and whatnot. Now, how can we influence the whole system at least at a time when we are locked down? We can't even go out to do. So, what do you think we can do here?
Sir, for example, what one thing would you say needs to be done on a top priority by, say, Prime Minister? What is your opinion?
In my mind, I think we should forget democracy and get into autocracy. Because we're in a war, and in a war, you need to stop listening to everybody and just issue orders, and that's it. Declare an emergency,
Sure.
and put everybody into shut up mode, and just
Yes.
follow instruction that comes from the people who know the subject.
Yes. So, sir, what you are saying is totally constitutional. Constitution provides for emergency at very critical times for a very short period. Therefore, if I mean, even as it is, they have enough powers through the acts under which they are operating these short lockdowns and other things. But an idea like that, if, for example, you were to directly write to the topmost people, would that not be an influence? What do you think I'm asking?
We can try, sir, but I think we require a lot of political willingness to declare emergency, because the emergency got a bad name in India, like Gandhi. So
I know, definitely.
it will never come forward, because it's going to get a bad name. So we can influence them, we can write to them. We can put it on the Prime Minister Twitter or something.
Yes. What
Manoj
I
and then Ambi.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Hi, Dr. Prashantham.
Yes, sir.
My question is a little different, perhaps in a continuation to whatever is being spoken about. There doesn't seem to be any end in sight.
Yes.
Keeping that in mind and what we are looking at and seeing the reality,
Yes.
some of us are at a level getting desensitized to what is happening around us. Some of us are getting so moved by it that it's going into that, some people are going into a shell whereby it's having a long-term impact of which we don't know what that could be. So cynicism at a level, no end in sight, because the reality that we are seeing around us, one suggestion is it goes into an emergency. But having said that, we're not seeing that somebody is turning around and saying that, look, this is the way out. And this sense of, disdain, which is coming about, on that account. So how does one deal with that?
It's a very tough one, sir. Very tough one. Like what Pradeep Bhai said, and you are saying, they get connected also, and it's a very confusing kind of a situation, causing cynicism and skepticism about can anything be done. But if you go back in terms of precedents in history, since Prince Philip died, I was reading about World War II veterans, how they put up with 5 years, what attitudes they brought to bear so that they could withstand that. How did they have the grit to do it? And when we see also, in situations like tsunami, what we had, at least in the southern coastal area. It was horrific. Bhopal gas tragedy we had at the time when China attacked us. It was quite a tough situation. And what finally happened, the hope is that when we look back, all of them finished. We started facing new. It was not permanent. But in the middle of the situation, it feels that way because I don't see the end of the tunnel there. We are sort of in a very clouded situation where the sun is not at all visible. Therefore, a belief emerges that the sun itself is not there. All that we can see is the clouds. It is the intuitive hope based on a historical past where people united and there was a synergy between individual action and community action and national action, aided and reciprocally supported by international involvement, has brought us out of so many things in the past.
Sure.
Including the very first pandemic more than 100 years ago. It lasted about 2-3 years and then people were out of it. Depression came, then prosperity came, and the cyclical nature of economy went, and here we are facing with an unprecedented situation. So everything you said, I echo as individually as a person, that this is happening. And it is important that those who are totally withdrawing in a hopeless way gently come out, and that there is some level of social support for each other, encouragement for each other, and each step counts, however small it is. And there is also some built-in level of how far this can go. For example, some scientists are expecting a reduction in the infections soon. It's going to go up, it's going to get worse, but it is going to start coming down because after a threshold, the infection also will not be able to proceed further. But before that, there are so many steps to take. Human life is so precious, and the outcomes of what appears to be incomplete response is causing a lot of tension. But somehow if we can put our head above the cloud and say, we cannot deny the tragedy and it is beyond words. There are not even proper words to describe the tragedy that is there, but also stronger than that is the possibility that this can be brought to an end. And you see, for example, what we are seeing in our health system breakdown is what has been neglected thus far. COVID didn't cause all this. COVID exposed.
Exactly.
India is one country that allocates the least in the world for health. And less than 20% of the whole outlay for health is from the government, that is public funding. And more than 80% is private. Private-public participation is okay. But there is much more that needs to be done in this sphere so that as new developments come, you know very well that in 5 years ago, Bill Gates said that in essence, COVID is coming. He didn't use those words, but nobody paid any attention to him. And now he's saying something bigger is coming in a couple of years. Here is an opportunity to revise our thinking, planning, and get our collective act together. These are only thoughts I'm sharing with totally 100% appreciating the validity of all that you said.
Thanks, Doctor. So now we'll have Ambi, then Suresh from NCR, Raghavan and Radha Mukherjee. With that, I will conclude, Doctor.
All right, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Prashantham. Always great to listen to you. My question was about vagus nerve stimulation, which I think you already answered.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so thank you very much, Ramesh. You can hand over to the next person.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Suresh Tawani, NCR.
Yeah, good evening to everyone. Doc, my view is that we need to really believe in hope and optimism.
Yes.
You know, when this pandemic started, I believe in science, and I knew this vaccine will come faster than we thought. And people were, everyone was saying 1.5, 2 years, and in less than 1 year, most of us have been vaccinated.
Yes.
Now my next hope is, and I'm sure it will happen by early 2023 or 22 or middle of 22, you will have cure for this. And cure is the nasal drops or oral drugs. Today, vaccine is preventive, it's not cure.
Yes.
And I'm very sure that by middle of next year, you will have cure. So this pandemic will die. It is not, and I believe in science, they will do it. Another thing which we can do is when we get negative messages, I think it is our duty to send out positive messages. There are a lot of people who are involved in altruism, they are helping, and we must counter this. That's all we can do. I can't influence Prime Minister to do something which I may think right, but I at least can propagate the thought of positivity in the society. What I see good happening, I can convey to 10 people. This is what as an ordinary citizen I can do. That's all I wanted to say.
Thank you, sir, for sharing wonderful thoughts. Both of them are very positive, very encouraging, and gives us hope. And like so many illnesses that were there in the past, for which there was no cure before, now there is cure. So with science progressing, we should hope for better outcomes in the future.
Thanks.
Thank you.
So Raghavan, Raghavan and then Radha Mukherjee.
Yeah.
Yes.
Doctor, you asked a question in terms of what is the one most important thing that the Prime Minister or somebody at the helm can do.
Yes, sir.
See, basically, I thought there were two important things that could make a distinct difference to society and to this epidemic, which is just getting everybody to wear masks and avoid mass gathering of any nature.
Yes.
These two messages, but what I'm surprised is this is known practically from top-down policy makers to ordinary individuals, but you see all the communication around, including all the creative industry, the media industry, who pride themselves in behavior change.
Yes.
There is absolutely very little, I mean, we should be swamped by this communication so that the whole society sits up and takes notice. So I'm actually amazed and anguished at how such a thing is just not happening.
Yes.
I mean, action-oriented things are just not happening.
Yes. You have identified two very, very powerful things that need to be done, sir, better than we have done so far. I totally agree with you. Yes.
Radha, please.
Yeah, I just wanted to share a little personal experience. You know, I mean, my 3-year-old grandson, the other day, you know, I was talking to my daughter and he was playing somewhere, and then suddenly he comes up and he says, "Mama, what are you and Amama talking about? Are you talking about the vaccine?" You know, and at that moment, you know, one of the things that struck me was that the impact on children, you know, children are the silent victims of all this. They are losing their childhood. I mean, my grandson is 3 years old, out of which 1.5 years have gone during this pandemic, and in the most formative stage when, you know, so your social skills, your whole personality is developing at this stage. And I don't know, and these are the people who are going to go forward with this. So, you know, do you see an important role for all of us as far as children are concerned. We never talk about it in the media, but they'll get
Sure.
concerned.
Ma'am, my general sense is that the most important thing you are mentioning, that our behavior as adults around children influences them too, because their critical mechanism is imitation. During tsunami, when I went all over the coast, and whenever we saw children expressing distress, we invariably found that their family members, especially adults who are looking after them, were having it. And so it is important to be confident at this and transmit kind of, that is the type of contagion to children, and express their anxieties and come with a little calmer mind to them. Plus, be willing to talk to them, listen to them, let them express more through, say, art or play. They can share their own thoughts and feelings, and a reassuring presence can help them to tide over it. But you are 100% right that they have become also unintentional victims of a lot of stress and confusion and wonder about.
Yeah.
Yes. And
thanks, Doctor. See, there are a few more people also wanted to ask, but paucity of time, so I would request them to connect with Doctor on a one-to-one basis. Doctor, kindly, I know you will be available for our coaches, so kindly feel free, kindly be available for our coaches. Ganesh, with this, would you like to make some closing comments? I would request you to make some closing comments.
No, but I thought doctor had some more points to cover.
You're a Superman.
If doctor were to take those, I don't want to steal any time between now and 7 o'clock for that. Doctor?
Mr. Ganesh, now I noticed from the chat that some were needing to leave and something. So if it is okay to close now, thanking everybody for their thoughts, feelings, opportunity to share. I didn't have any, great insights, breakthroughs, but I feel through science we can be confident. Through individual and collective action, we can bring solutions in the days ahead. So there is some room for optimism. And since you have proposed it to be a monthly meeting, we can pick up the threads in the next meeting.
Okay.
Right.
Would that be all right?
Absolutely, doctor. And I would just by sensing the mood of all the people here, I think there is a need for people to talk about things.
Yes, yes.
Not about things that are immediately just affecting them emotionally, but there are larger existential issues,
yes,
societal issues, ethical issues that everyone at this stage in their life is grappling with. And I think this can be a great space for that to happen. And I think it's important that people have the opportunity to say those things and be heard among peers who care. I think it is important. And Suresh, I hope we can make these happen with a certain regularity, and Doctor sends in advance his topics and people have the thought to keep thinking about it so that the thread is not broken. That is my hope. Thanks, Doctor. You've always responded to this call. So if you have any closing comments on how what you might want us to do between now and the time we meet next, that's as a good coach, a good thing to leave us with.
Like you have already hinted in the, to share their thoughts and feelings with, the trusted members, number one. And next time I'm planning to bring some thoughts about, initially, obviously, whatever they like, we can talk about. that is how to foster supportive relationships in this kind of an environment where some things seem to be collapsing all around us. And I will send these slides and some bibliography also, articles for their review and consideration.
Doctor, the next 1 month is a long time and a lot might happen. And I hope a lot doesn't happen. So if there is one thing you would like us to do or not do, what would that be?
First of all, please don't panic. Meaning, you are going to hear more bad news in the next 1 week. I'm pretty sure about that. So don't panic, it'll pass away. And reach out to people who need to be heard. That will be a huge support. And take care of yourself also very carefully. Don't risk anything. In terms of movements and things like that, and keep your own self fit through whatever normally you are doing to stimulate the vagus nerve. That will give more calmness and peace.
Thank you.
Thank you, Doctor. Thanks all our coaches, and thanks for our clients who have responded to our request and come here. Thanks one and all, and we are meeting next session on June 4th. Same, first Friday at 5:30. So till then, stay safe. All the best. Bye.